Good to go.
Session 2. Let's take a look at the birth of Ishmael for a moment before we get to Isaac. So, again, trying to compress the scriptural record in the course of time. You know, Hagar is pregnant. She bears a son. And this friction between Sarah and Hagar continues on. So much so that Sarah can't stand seeing Ishmael around every day, nor Hagar. And she does order Abram to send them away, get him out of here. I can't bear to see them anymore, because every time I see him, I think of what you did. You know, however, you got to remember, she was the one that said, "Here, take my maid." So she's culpable as well. Anyway, so Ishmael is born, and ultimately Ishmael and Hagar are sent into the desert, and this becomes now the beginning of their story. They're kind of like nomads, people without a country, wanderers, Arabs. I'm going to come back to that, but now I want to just fast forward. That's why to this day there is so much tension between the Jews and the Arabs. They both claim Abram as their father, but one of those nations is the nation of the promise, the Jewish people, because they trace their line through Isaac, not Ishmael. So that's why there is tension there, and that's why ultimately, even to this day, the Arabs are trying to find a land, a place. You got to remember, God made the promise, and I'm not going to comment geopolitically on anything, but God made the promise to Abram that you will be a great nation, you'll have your own son, and you'll have your own land. That was not the promise he made to Ishmael and his descendants. However, because God is a God of mercy, he did say to Hagar and Ishmael and Abram, "Because you are the son of Abram, my chosen, I too will bless you. And you too, through Ishmael, will become a great nation." So you got to remember, talking about the promise. The promise is the key thing. So ultimately now Abram will have two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael is 13 years older than Isaac. Even though he's the firstborn, even though he's the oldest, he is not the son of God's promise. That will be Isaac, if God does not turn his back on Ishmael. So there you have the beginnings of the Arab people. The Arab people today, the Muslims, trace their history back to Ishmael. Interesting thing I noticed when I was...
But it's not just the Muslims. It is the Arabs. It's
The Arabs,
the
yes.
Palestinians.
That's more
Because there are Palestinian Christians.
yes.
I mean, and there are Palestinian Jews, but
No, you're right. It's a more inclusive term, yes. Look at chapter 16, verse 12. I don't know what your translation has, but I'll read mine. Verse 12 says, "He shall be a wild ass of a man, his hand against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell over against all his kinsmen." So just think of the words that were selected there. And I don't want to typecast, but just think of some of the negative things we've heard about the Arabs.
So that when they first heard the promise, it was really just a vision to Abraham, not
No,
Sarah.
the word of the Lord came to Abram. But I would imagine in the course of their life together, he would have shared that, with her, so that ultimately, even when she offers up Hagar, she's somewhat aware that God has this plan, this promise, and maybe this is how he's going to act.
And maybe she didn't really believe it because she didn't see children herself.
Well, sure, true. I mean, she knew physically that she couldn't have children, and maybe her faith was not. The stories with Abraham, now with Sarah. So maybe Sarah's faith was not as strong as it should have been, and that's why she was then trying to find out a way as to, well, how is God going to make this happen? It can't happen through me. Oh, maybe Hagar, but in both cases, human intuition was wrong because God still had another plan that would bring about the birth of Isaac. Any questions so far? So, very important that from Abraham came Ishmael, and then later we're going to see in a moment, then Isaac, who is the son of the promise. Because as the story goes on later on, then we're going to follow not Ishmael's line, where the Bible is going to be following Isaac's line, and because that's the child of the promise. Chapter 16, verse 16. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. 17. Verse 5. This is now where, again, God is beginning to work, and he's saying to Abram in verse 5, your name will no longer be Abram, but Abraham. For I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come forth from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant to be God to you. I will give to you and to your descendants after you the land of your sojournings, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. See, that's the key. The covenant that God is making with Abram and his descendants is this. I will be your God. Don't worry about things that are going on around you with other nations. I, the Lord God, will be your God. And I will give you this land as an everlasting possession. That's why the Jews today fight so hard, because they believe that the land that they have is not their land because they won it in battle, but it's their land because God bequeathed it to them in that promise. It's almost like a divine inheritance. And so they're doing what they can to honor the promise. Now, verse 10. So chapter 17, verse 10, God now establishes, Isaac still is not born, God establishes circumcision as the outward sign of the covenant. Chapter 17, verse 10. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. He that is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised. Every male throughout your generations, whether born in your house or bought with your money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring, both he that is born in your house and he that is brought with your money shall be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. So the sign of the covenant that God has established with Abraham, that Abraham would be a great nation, he'd have this land, the sign of that covenant that I am your God is going to be circumcision. Yes. I don't know. I don't know. I could take some guess. How do we do this politely?
I don't know what the guess would be.
I would say, as you know, well, let's do it this way. As you know, the male organ is the organ which transmits semen to fertilize the woman. So, to a degree, from an Old Testament mentality, that's something that's life-giving. That's the heart of it all. There's an expression in the Bible where men talk about the fruit of their loins, which really means that they have the capability of producing life. I guess it takes a woman, but it's with them. So that's probably a part of it. This great nation will come from their loins. Another one, which, and I don't mean to be, gross, but another one would be God wanted the men to remember the covenant between them and Him. Every time the men went to the bathroom, they would see this. They would see the sign of the covenant. They would remember, I bear the mark. God is my God. I mean, other than that, I'm not quite sure. Other than this is what God wanted, and you don't argue. But so that's why even to this day, when Jewish boys are born on the 8th day, they're circumcised. You look in the New Testament, chapter 2, verse 21. On the 8th day, Jesus was brought to the temple, and he was circumcised as a good Jew. So that was the key. Oh, by the way, why the 8th day? Any ideas? Think. Why was the command to circumcise on the 8th day? Could be. Let's just go back to, you're on the right track. Let's go back to creation. 7 days, God made everything. But then he was, so that whole thing of 7, that whole thing of 7 is completion. Now the 8th day kind of begins now, maybe it's a foreshadowing even of the new covenant of baptism. The first day of the week. This is going to be circumcision for the Jew is going to be a fulfillment of God's promise. As creation was fulfilled, so now in circumcision, as a Jew, I am fulfilled. Interesting thing, now mind you. So the order was that every male child, slave-free, would be circumcised on the 8th day. That meant at that point in time, because these questions have come up before, that everybody up to that point in time had never been circumcised. They were circumcised on that first time out. Take a look at verse 24. Chapter 17, verse 24. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. So all the people up to that point in time, once God gave the command, they had to be circumcised. Without pain pills.
Or surgical
We'll
tools.
take a little break. Just hold for a minute. You know how you